Hi, I'm Dr. Dave Janda. Welcome back to Operation Freedom Briefings. The goal of these briefings and my weekly radio show, also named Operation Freedom, is to provide you information the bought-off, lamestream, fake media, a tentacle of the deep state, will not provide. Our goal is to empower you with the facts, to prevent you from becoming a victim of the deep state. The deep state is going into overdrive. We see it every hour of every day. Their goals are to strip every American of their freedoms and their liberties. And that's what we do with this platform. Provide you the ammo, if you will, to fend off the deep state and their freedom-stripping agenda. We do this on our YouTube channel. We do this on our radio show every Sunday from 2 to 5 Eastern. You can join us live. It's free. Go to davejanda.com, hit the Listen Live button, join us. Great guests, great analysis. Information fake media does not want you to have. In addition, we're also available at davejanda.com, both the free, the public site, as well as the subscription site. A mere $9 a month gives you information, access to information that goes far beyond what we can even do on this YouTube channel. Outstanding guests with our Insider Insight show, our geopolitical analysis show, our WTF show every week, our Department of Advanced Research show, our healthcare policy series, our contributing editor section, archives to all the shows, including archives to all the radio shows all the way back to its inception in October of 2010. Please become part of our Freedom family by becoming a subscriber to davejanda.com. It enables us to continue these YouTube presentations, the radio show, and what we do on the website. If you missed last week's YouTube presentation, please take the time. I know you're busy, but please take the time and go back and watch it. It was about, well, a call to arms, if you will. General Flynn recently penned an article in the Western journalism, and it was entitled, about 2% of our population is trying to control the remainder, the 98%, us, freedom-loving public. I highlighted that in last week's video. I also highlighted it on this past Sunday's radio show, Operation Freedom. I consider General Flynn a friend of mine. He got in touch with me after those presentations on this YouTube channel and also on the radio show this past Sunday. And here is what he said. Dave, thank you for highlighting the article. I meant every word. These are seriously deadly times across the country, and a real threat to our way of life has never been more clear. A large, well-organized, funded socialist movement is on the march, and they will not stop on their own accord. God bless, Mike. General Flynn has been targeted for years. From the day they made public they were targeting him in January of 2017, I have gone on record in support of General Flynn. I've been defamed, I've been demonized, I've been ridiculed in my support of General Flynn and his family. But when it all comes down to it, what I said from the very beginning holds true today. General Flynn is an innocent man. Evidence was fabricated against him. And the reason? They needed to remove him from power and sitting next to the President of the United States. Why? Because General Flynn was not a totalitarian. General Flynn, intent was to expose the underbelly of the deep state. And they needed to target him. And they needed to remove him. And they have failed. They are doing everything possible to block General Flynn from coming back onto the battlefield because They know he is beyond a game changer. He ends the game for them. And their game is about to be ended. Many people want to know, well, the deep state. Who's all behind? What is the crux of it? Where did it start? We've gone into great length and depths in this over a number of years' time on our channel, on DaveJanda.com, and on our radio show, Operation Freedom, and actually as well on this YouTube channel. From the very beginning, 10 years ago, I started speaking about the deep state, and I was labeled a conspiracy theorist. It might have been conspiracy, but it was conspiracy reality. Let's go back in time. One of the founders of the Trilateral Commission, a globalist deep state entity, was David Rockefeller. Another founder, as we've pointed out with our interviews with Pat Wood, was Ziggy Brzezinski. You know, his daughter, Mika, was married to Joe Scarborough. Yeah. You wonder how they got their gigs? Yeah. David Rockefeller was at a Trilateral Commission meeting. And he was quoted as saying the following. This is many years ago. Quote, "We are grateful to the Washington Post, the New York Times, Time Magazine, and other great publications whose directors have attended our meetings and respected their promises of discretion for almost 40 years. It would have been impossible for us to develop our plan for the world if we had been subjected to the lights of publicity during those years. But the world is more sophisticated and prepared to march toward a world government. The supernatural sovereignty of an intellectual elite and world bankers is surely preferable to the national autodetermination practiced in past centuries." End quote. In other words, the Constitution. Time to shred it. Oh, that thing about freedom and liberty and individual rights. Shred it. And that's what you're seeing today, and that's what General Flynn pointed out. David Rockefeller, in what he points out in that quote, is saying what the 2% are trying to do to the rest 98% of us who value freedom and liberty. Yeah, these folks in Antifa and the leadership of Black Lives Matter that have stated that they're Marxist terrorists. Not me saying that. Patrice Cullors, one of the founders in 2015, said that. Or Hawk Newsom, who recently said, hey, we can't get our way, we're going to burn it all down. One of the funders for Black Lives Matter, Susan Rosenberg, convicted felon of bombing the Pentagon and bombing the New York Police Benevolence Association. What? So when all these people are standing up and saying, oh, we support this or that, or Nadler the other day on the street, the goofball globalist who tried to impeach President Trump. Oh, Antifa, that's a myth. Come on, man. Whatever that dude is smoking, drinking, I want none of it. It's not a myth. They're the army for the 2%. Peacefully protesting is great. It's what I do on this channel. It's what I've done on my radio show for 10 years. It's what I've done in trying to get government to do the right thing over 30 years' time. Peacefully protesting is great. But that doesn't include rioting and looting and desecration and destruction and death. But that's what the 2% are about. And that's what General Flynn pointed out in his op-ed that he wrote. By the way, what I read on this YouTube channel a week ago from General Flynn There's nobody in the bought-off lamestream fake media, including Fox, which is controlled opposition, that has read his statement on air. Why? Because they don't want something to mobilize us, the 98%. General Flynn points it out in stark terms. Here's what they're up to, and here's what we need to do. Here is our enemy. The enemy is the deep state. Let's go back to David Rockefeller. He wrote an autobiography. And I unfortunately read it because I need to know everything about my adversary that I can get my hands on. On page 405 of his autobiography, Memoirs, here is what he said, quote, "Some even believe we, the Rockefellers," and let's put the Rothschilds, Lazards, Pincuses, Warburgs, Peseur family, let's put all of them in that boat, okay? "Some even believe we, the Rockefellers, are part of a secret cabal working against the best interests of the United States, characterizing my family and me as internationalists, globalists, conspiring with others around the world to build a more integrated global political and economic structure, a one world, if you will. If that's the charge, I stand guilty, and I'm proud of it," end quote. They're very open about it. What does this statement say? I despise freedom. I despise liberty. I despise the Declaration of Independence. I despise the Constitution. That's what Rockefeller is saying. They also despise you and me, what they call, and I kid you not, useless eaters. Yeah. The only reason why we're still around walking on planet Earth is because of their benevolence, because they're allowing us to utilize the resources that were only meant for them. I kid you not. Here's another David Rockefeller quote. "It's imperative for you to know that the globalists embrace communism and Marxism, not just socialism, communism and Marxism. They embrace it. It's their lifeblood. Because the deep state is about oppression. Oppression of everybody except themselves." Here's what David Rockefeller said about China, their little pet. Yeah. Quote, "The social experiment in China under Chairman Mao's leadership," ready, "is one of the most important and successful in history," end quote. He wrote that in 1973 in a New York Times op-ed. China. Yeah. Chairman Mao killed 40 million, at least. Some people even say up to 80 million. One of the most important and successful in history, according to David Rockefeller. Well, in globalist terms, it was, because it slaughtered 40 to, some people, 80 million useless eaters. That's a good day at the office for those dudes. I want to take you back. In 1988, I was involved in doing a tremendous amount of research and prevention, and it got a lot of attention and a lot of notoriety. Just one of the studies I was involved with, according to the federal government, of which I was the lead investigator for, prevented 1.7 million people from being injured in the United States and saving $2 billion every year. That got the attention of then President Ronald Reagan. And I was contacted through his aides, wanting to know if I'd be interested in working with then Surgeon General C. Everett Koop on healthcare policy issues. Well, when the president calls, you answer. And I happily went to Washington to work on healthcare policy. When I first got to Washington and got to the White House, several of us who were new to the system, everyone who came in got a little bit of an introductory orientation, if you will, to the Reagan administration. And there were several of us there, and one of President Reagan's chief aides came in and said, listen, you're here for a reason, and that is to enhance the freedom of every American. The right-left axis is complete theater.